weekend finale. We're back at Lagasse Stadium here in Las Vegas, Nevada. Welcome back to Get Sharp, everyone. Joe Fortenbaugh, Chuck Esposito. We are here to break down the final wildcard playoff game of the weekend as the 12-4 Pittsburgh Steelers travel to the heart of Tebow Mania to take on the 8-8 Denver Broncos. Chuck, interesting game here. Pittsburgh comes in as a big favorite at about 8 points in this one. Very low total. We're expecting a defensive matchup, but something has me thinking that it might not just be a Pittsburgh washout in this one.
Well, you look at this game, and you're right. Denver backed into the playoffs. I mean, you look at Tebow, and there's Tebow Mania. They're against the Pittsburgh Steelers. This is one of the largest road favorites I can remember in the NFL. This number has trended up since we first put it up at around 7.5. It looked like for a time being early on that it might even hit double digits. I don't think it's going to hit that high, but the weather's supposed to be bad. You look at Pittsburgh, the #1 ranked defense against the pass. If I'm Tim Tebow, I'm losing a lot of sleep right now, wondering how I'm going to generate any offense against that Steelers defense. But Pittsburgh, real quick, their last 3 road games, they lose to San Francisco, they win at Kansas City by 4, at Cleveland by 4, so they have struggled. They're banged up with Big Ben, no Pouncey, no Mendenhall, and of course you've got that Denver crowd, but Denver just 3-5 at home this year.
See, this is why we have you on. The insight like that, the knowledge, the statistical information, we love it. You just touched on this. I thought you were going to go into it. We saw a situation like this last year. A lot of people are comparing it to the New Orleans-Seattle game. A Seattle team that got no respect in the playoffs, but hosted a game because they won the division, just like Denver is this year. Meanwhile, the Saints went up there, double-digit favorite. We thought it was going to be probably a Saints romp, at worst a Saints win, and they end up losing the game outright. So do you see comparisons between the two?
I do, and I know a lot of people are using that, but you look at the Seahawks, and they had Hasselbeck. They had a quarterback who was a veteran quarterback who could catch fire, and Lynch had just a great game. They caused some turnovers early. They played well. It's hard to say. I mean, there is Tebow maniacs out there. They want to back him. He was 7-1 in his first 8 starts, 7-1 against the number. But in those last 3 games, he's really been exposed. I mean, I think against the Chiefs, a total of 76 yards combined, rushing and passing. He's going against the Steelers here, but that number, as it continues to trend up, there probably is some value with Denver at home, with the 12th man being the crowd there, the altitude. It's going to be crazy. The weather's supposed to be extremely bad. They're saying it's going to start snowing that morning at about 9 a.m.
Perfect.
So Denver's going to look to run, but they're going up against a great defense.
Perfect weather for a game like this, especially to cap off the weekend. You look at, what was I going to get to here? Let's go to the total for just a second. 33.5 right now. Have you ever seen it that low?
I have not. But I mean, you look at Denver, and they just haven't generated any offense the last couple of weeks. I think the key here is going to be the Steeler defense and Steelers on special teams. I just think they'll make the big plays that they have to. They can create probably 10 to 14 points just off turnovers. We're going to be rooting for whoever we need, but I'm guessing the sportsbooks throughout the state of Nevada are all going to be rooting for Tim Tebow come Sunday.
You think so? Because that's what I wanted to ask. The Steelers obviously a very public, huge fan base throughout the country, but Tebow has obviously picked up a lot of fans. He's at home. He's got the believers. You still think the Steelers are the public players?
I do. I think when the public really looks at this game and looks at Pittsburgh at 10-3 in the playoffs with Roethlisberger, they're such a public team. Okay, Denver was fun. They were fun to root for when Tebow, got in there, and they went 7-1 against the number.
Now it's business.
Now, exactly. This is the playoffs. This is when it really counts. And I think this is his shot. I mean, if he can play a competitive game here, I think he does go into next season as a starting quarterback. If he lays an egg like he did the last 3 weeks, I'm just not so sure what they do in the offseason. There's been some reports that Brady Quinn has taken a higher percentage of snaps with the first team during practice this week. Who knows? Maybe he could be on a short leash. We'll have to wait and see. But this is a huge game for Tim Tebow.
I read that too. How is that possibly an upgrade? What has Brady Quinn ever done to make you think that he would be the guy to go to against the Pittsburgh Steelers in this game?
I'm not the offensive coordinator, Joe. I'm not sure, but I think they're looking at something maybe to ignite Tebow. That it's not just a given that you're going to be in there for 4 quarters. That it's you've got to produce, you've got to bring it. If it's a close game, he loves it when the games are close. But he's going to have to really bring it that day against the Steeler defense.
Last question: how concerned should we be if we like the Steelers about the injuries? Obviously, Ryan Clark not playing is a big concern. Rashard Mendenhall's out, although Isaac Redmond and Weldon Moore step in and do a nice job.
Redmond's a good back, but he did have 2 fumbles last week, so a little bit of a concern. But I think the mobility of Big Ben. He hasn't been as mobile since since that sprained ankle, but he's a winner. He's produced in these big games, but the Steelers have really struggled this year on the road, and especially their last 3 games were against easy opponents, you would say, the Browns and Chiefs, only winning by 4 points and getting beat pretty soundly by the San Francisco 49ers on primetime. So a little bit of a concern there, but they have such a great defense and an aggressive defense. Tebow really is going to have to play probably the best game that he's had all year for Denver to win this one.
That's a wrap. Excellent stuff as always, Mr. Esposito. Chuck's going to be back. He drew the wild card slot for us. He's going to be back Monday night to preview LSU and Alabama. But until then, enjoy the games. Best of luck tonight. This is a great weekend. We'll see you next time.